All right, let's jump right in. Today, we are going after a problem that, let's be honest, gets all of us: laziness. But we're not talking about your typical quick fixes. Nope. We're going to look at a completely different, almost counterintuitive approach, all drawn from some really fascinating Japanese principles that might just change how you think about motivation itself.
So let's get real for a second. You've been there, right? You're stuck, motivation is just gone, and the thought of fixing it feels totally exhausting. You start thinking you need to launch this massive life overhaul. You know, a crazy workout plan, a super strict diet, a complete reorganization of your entire house. But what if that whole way of thinking is just wrong?
This quote, this right here, gets to the absolute heart of what we're talking about today. It completely flips the script on what we think self-improvement is. It suggests the real secret to getting unstuck isn't some giant heroic effort. It's something much, much smaller. It's gentler. And believe it or not, it's way more effective.
Exactly. This whole philosophy isn't about shocking your system into working. It's about making changes that are so small, so easy, that your brain doesn't even bother to put up a fight. You know that resistance you feel? This is designed to sneak right past it. It's all about sustainable, long-term improvement, not some dramatic flameout after a week.
And that brings us to the big idea, the foundation for all of these habits. It's a Japanese philosophy called Kaizen. Honestly, this is the key to understanding how these tiny little steps can lead to absolutely massive results. So let's call this our first and most important habit, just getting the Kaizen mindset.
So what even is Kaizen? Well, it literally means good change. But the part you really need to focus on is that word continuous. See, this isn't a project that has a start and an end date, it's a way of life. It's the simple practice of making these incredibly small improvements day after day after day.
And when we say small, just how small are we talking? Well, the goal here isn't to be 100% better tomorrow. No way. The goal is to be just 1% better. This is our second habit, the 1% shift. Seriously, can you do just one push-up? Read just one page of a book? Tidy up one tiny corner of your desk? That's it. That's the bar. It's so low, it's almost impossible not to do it.
And this really shows you the difference, doesn't it? The way we usually do things, that all or nothing approach, it demands a huge amount of willpower. And we all know willpower runs out. It almost always leads to burnout, and then we feel like we've failed. But the Kaizen way? It requires almost zero willpower. Instead, it builds momentum slowly and steadily, creating real growth that actually lasts.
Okay, so that's the theory. How does this actually work in the real world? Well, our third habit is a perfect practical example of Kaizen. And it's not even about productivity. It's about hitting the reset button on your mind by tackling one of the biggest root causes of laziness, that feeling of mental and emotional exhaustion.
This habit is called Shinrin-yoku, or forest bathing. And before your mind starts picturing some complicated, weird ritual, just stop. This is a perfect Kaizen-style habit. It's a super simple, tiny way to reset your brain when you just feel cluttered and overwhelmed.
And really, it is this simple. First, you just find some nature. It could be a giant national park, or it could literally be the one tree on your street. But the second step is the most important part. Be there without a goal. No step count to hit, no destination you have to reach. Your only job is to just be. That's it. Listen to the leaves, smell the air, notice how the light looks.
And this is so crucial. The point here isn't to burn calories. It's to lower your stress hormones, to calm your nervous system, and to basically hit the reset button on your emotional state. When your mind is calm, instead of being in that frantic, overloaded state, motivation has a funny way of just naturally coming back. It's a tiny 1% improvement for your brain.
All right, so once we've given our mind a break, let's talk about the physical side. A huge reason we feel lazy is because of those brutal energy crashes, especially in the afternoon. So our fourth habit is all about stopping those before they even start. And yeah, Kaizen has a tiny little fix for this too.
This next habit is built on something called interoceptive awareness. I know, it sounds super complex, but it's really just a fancy way of saying, listen to your body. That's it. Specifically, it means paying close attention to the signals it's sending you about being hungry, and even more importantly, about being full.
And this brings us to this wonderful Japanese principle called hara hachibu, which basically just means eat until you're 80% full. See, the goal isn't to fill your stomach until you can't possibly take another bite. It's to stop when you feel satisfied, not stuffed. You're leaving that last 20% as your energy reserve.
So why does this work so well? Well, think about it. When you eat until you're totally stuffed, your body has to divert a ton of energy just to digest all that food. And that is the direct cause of that sleepy, sluggish, I desperately need a nap right now feeling. By just stopping a few bites earlier, you prevent that huge energy drain and you completely sidestep the crash. It's such a tiny shift, but it has a huge impact on your entire afternoon.
So we've looked at the Kaizen philosophy and we've talked about a couple of really powerful ways you can apply it. But as we start to wrap this up, it's so important that we're clear on the real takeaway here. And that, really, is our fifth and final habit.
Look, the real path to beating laziness isn't about perfectly adopting forest bathing or mastering the 80% rule. Those are just examples to get you started. The true solution and our final habit is to find your own tiny improvements. It's about you asking yourself, okay, how can I make one tiny little improvement to my mental state, to my physical energy, to my focus? And then finding your own small steps.
And that's the whole thing. This is not another to-do list for you to feel guilty about later. It's an invitation to just practice the art of the tiny shift. Because when you get good at that, you suddenly have the power to improve anything in your life, slowly, steadily, and without ever burning out. You build momentum that actually lasts.
So I'll leave you with this question. Forget about tomorrow. Forget about next week. What is the one single tiny thing you can improve by just 1% right now, today?